The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
This morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk. It is Thursday the 17th of July 2025 and you are on the clock with Erin, Greene. And let me show you a little something. I just clock in. I've been up all night strategizing. I wasn't up fighting raccoon because I scared. And when that raccoon walked on my porch last night, didn't even say good evening, miss. He didn't say nothing. He walked straight to the cat food container. He scratched up all the cat food. He wouldn't even look at me. And he just picked himself up and walked straight off my porch. No tip. No $5 in the envelope. No nothing. Anyway, I'm at war with the raccoons in my neighborhood. I got 2 mangoes left on my mango tree, and me and them are going to fight. We're going to fight over these 2 mangoes. First of all, I thought raccoon didn't eat fruit off the ground. What happened? I thought you all had the bougie raccoons in East New Providence, and they didn't eat off the ground. The raccoon just eating everything. Everything. We have a real raccoon problem in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We definitely have a raccoon problem on New Providence, and it's fascinatingly complex. Right, like an episode of one of them shows on A&E. It's fascinating, and we can get into that one day. But we've got lots to talk about today. What's in the news? Some headlines. We're talking traffic today. After seeing some images from night before last, we got to talk about traffic again. I have guest co-host in studio with me, Ms. Rodrika Cawley. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm well.
Good. You ain't bring no mangoes to the studio?
No mangoes.
Y'all have mangoes? Y'all grow mangoes in Exuma?
Of course, we got mangoes in Exuma.
Y'all mangoes taste good in Exuma?
All of our native fruits taste good in Exuma.
I asked if the mangoes taste good in Exuma.
Yes, the mangoes taste good in Exuma.
Y'all have a large agricultural production going on in Exuma?
Large? In comparison to what it used to be, no.
Okay.
But they still... There's some ladies that work the farm still.
All right. Good morning, ladies. Y'all keep working the farm. That's not so people who ain't got no sense. We can need y'all. Mm-hmm. Caller, I'm sorry I missed you. We're just getting into the show. And I want to start with this quick segment, then we're going to shift to local news. 2 years ago, a listener shared with me a petition. The title of the petition read, Bahamas, please don't sign the new pandemic treaty or amended international health regulations. Producer, let's prep that call. Caller, I'm coming to you in a second. Again, a couple of years ago, a listener sent me a petition, a local petition, titled Bahamas, please don't sign the new pandemic or amended international health regulations. Informed that the last day for our government to opt out, and it's in parentheses, without a considerably strenuous process to opt out, is July 19th. So we're gonna go through the petition a little bit, and we'll talk about that for a moment. But I'm gonna go to the caller. Good morning, caller.
Hey, morning, Mr. Greene. How you doing?
Hi, good, thank you. How you doing?
Yeah, right there, man. I came to solve your raccoon problem.
I listening.
Yeah, okay. All you have to do is one simple thing. Leave your BPL bill right there for the raccoons. I guarantee they won't come around there no more.
I used to think that, but
I tell you, leave the bill there.
Scare them.
The bill right there for the raccoon to pay.
Because, see, you're right, because I don't think I could kill a raccoon, but I'm hoping I could scare it into never coming back to my neighborhood ever again. I figure you say BPL bill, I can tell all my neighbors, bring your children to my yard tomorrow night. Let's go camping. Let's see if we could scare this raccoon. Anyway, let's get back to this petition. Bahamas, please don't sign the new pandemic treaty or amended international health regulations. And at the time, there was a local organization, the Optimist Group, who was, I think, actively lobbying for a broader discussion on the potential signing of the pandemic treaty and amended international health regulations. I'm going to read from the petition quickly, parts of it. The World Health Organization is attempting a global power grab by seeking to have the 194 member nations of the World Health Assembly adopt a completely new international agreement on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, commonly referred to as the proposed, quote, pandemic treaty, close quote, adopt proposed amendments to the international health regulations. We believe the Bahamian public must be furnished with the full ramifications of how these two agreements could affect them. We want the Bahamian government to commit to not signing these agreements unless publicly debated or approved through a public referendum. Time is of the essence as the final vote is scheduled to take place in May 2024. The Pandemic Prevention, Preparedness, and Response Accord, member states of the World Health Organization have agreed to a global process to draft and negotiate a convention, agreement, or other international instrument under the Constitution of the World Health Organization to strengthen pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. That statement is taken from the World Health Organization site. And again, the World Health Organization was founded in 1948. Who is the United Nations agency that connects nations, partners, and people to promote health, keep the world safe, and serve the vulnerable to this level of health. The WHO leads global efforts to expand universal health coverage, direct and coordinate the world's response to health emergencies, and they promote healthier lives from pregnancy care through old age. The international health regulations are an instrument of international law that is legally binding on 196 countries, including the 194 WHO member states. The IHR grew out of the response to deadly epidemics that once overran Europe. They create rights and obligations for countries, including the requirement to report public health events. The IHR, first adopted by the World Health Assembly in 1969 and last revised in 2005, are a legally binding set of rules that only apply to the World Health Organization. That is an instrument that aims for international collaboration to, quote, prevent, protect against, control, and provide a public health response to the international spread of disease in ways that are commensurate with and restricted to public health risks that avoid unnecessary international traffic and trade. So that is, I could say, an excerpt from the petition. Just a brief description of the WHO, what the international health regulations are, and the process, right, of creating the pandemic accord, aka the pandemic treaty. So briefly, I'm going to read from this quick article that a listener sent me. This is a listener who alerted the deadline for opting out of the new regulations and the accord is July 19th. That individual asked me to share this information again in hopes that it would prompt a statement from state actors on what their decision is. So the question today is, do you know what your government has decided to do? Have they decided to sign on to or opt out of the pandemic accord, the pandemic treaty, and opt out of or object to the proposed amendments to the international health regulations. So I'm going to read quickly from an article by a writer, I think, on Substack by the name of Jessica Rose. And the article's titled Replacing Human Dignity with Equity, 14th of July, 25. The seventh, and I've just shared that the person who shared with me said that this is one of their greater concerns. The 77th World Health Assembly adopted a package of amendments to the International Health Regulation 2005 on June 1st, 2024, to, quote, strengthen, close quotes, global preparedness, surveillance, and response to public health emergencies. These amendments are considered significant and include provisions for equity, a states party committee, and national IHR authorities. David Bell, in a recent Brownstone publication, wrote, quote, July 19th is the last day that member states of the World Health Organization can withdraw from the IHR amendments without entering a multi-year withdrawal process. By failing to withdraw, they will be committing their taxpayers to fund the key surveillance aspects of a rapidly expanding industry that is the pandemic industrial complex. They will be required to set up an extensive network to search for well-established natural phenomena, including the tendency of viruses to mutate into variants. This has been a part of the natural world for hundreds of millions of years, but demonstrating it has recently become highly profitable due to a confluence of technological advances and intense marketing. The member states can opt out up until July 19, 2025. If not rejected, the new amendments go into effect in member countries, and this currently includes both Canada and Australia. So Canada and Australia have signed on, but Israel has opted out, citing concerns over potential infringements on national sovereignty, security, and economic interests. Here is an article that people may find enlightening if they want to understand Israel's take on the vote. And producer, you could prep that caller. The article is titled IHR Amendments and the Pandemic Agreement, an Israeli Perspective. This article is a great write-up describing legal and ethical concerns of the suggested amendments. The author, Dr. Sylvia Berendt, Director of the Global Health Responsibility Agency, Salzburg, Austria, wrote, and I'm going to share some of that quote in a moment. Let's go to the phone line, though. Good morning, caller.
Talk show.
Good morning, ma'am. You're on the air.
Yes. Good morning.
Morning.
I always listen to your show when I enjoy it, and I hear you talking about the problems you have with the raccoon.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm having the problems with them too, but you know what this really get rid of them?
Okay.
Chocolate.
Yeah? Would you
I'm just from the store.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then I have them. I see the evidence of them.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm just from the store, and I bought, because last night, I put out some chocolate, and they ate it. They love chocolate, and that would kill them.
Oh.
Try the chocolate.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Because you know what I was going to do?
Uh-huh.
I was going to go get some, motor oil and Vaseline and hot pepper, right?
Okay.
And I was going to rub the pepper wherever I saw they use as leverage to get in the tree.
Right.
Because once they get that sticky hot pepper oil on their fur,
Right.
they can be annoyed, they can be uncomfortable, and they can roll out.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
if push come to shove, I can try that chocolate method.
that chocolate this week. I put it out, and when you see they don't eat the chocolate, that means they're dead.
I got you. You
Yeah.
got them. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. You're welcome. All right. Okay.
All right. To my animal rights advocates, right? I am advocating for a broader response to the raccoon crisis in the Bahamas. But I am glad that I know I have a last resort because, like many people, I rely on some of what I produce in my yard to generate income, you know? And that's a part of the reason why it's a very important discussion. Producer, let's prep that phone line before we get back into reading these excerpts about the pandemic treaty. Good morning, caller.
Hey, morning, Ms. Greene.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, your caller trying to give the raccoons diabetes.
I mean, yes. Diabetes.
All right, then.
Yes, sir. That's the type. I mean, nobody wants diabetes. Just on a quick note, Rodrika, I just read an article where scientists in China have said that they have cured diabetes in at least one patient with gene editing by changing the genes of the patient. I thought it was fascinating. I want to get some doctors on. Maybe you join me in that conversation as well. Because Bashra, you all talk about health and rights.
Yes, but that sounds dangerous
I mean,
as far as repercussions go. And I say that because your genes affect everything in your body. And all of your organs, your parts are used to the genes that you have. So if they're going to change your genetic makeup, then how will all of your organs be able to adapt?
yeah, right. Will your body...
Reject
Yeah, right.
your genes.
Well, listen. So, and what a wonderful tie-in, right? Because we're on like the ethics in medicine and science,
Right.
Right. So that's one story. The second story I saw recently, just this morning, coming out of the UK, I think they have successfully. Here's what they did. They're attempting to eradicate mitochondrial-based diseases in newborns, right? In newborns. They took one sperm donor and 2 egg donors and combined it. And they say that they have produced a child with no mitochondrial issues at all. Very concerning, right? Like we're on the cutting edge of medicine and science.
Right.
And the question is ethics there with us?
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to maintain ethics when you're trying to have scientific breakthroughs, because the ethics are based on what is
Right, like
right. And for the breakthrough, you have to test.
Right. It's like the breakthrough itself has become a commodity. Right? Like whoever could get the newest, most exciting idea first is the one that gets the stature and the money, as opposed to the person who has brought to the table a completely researched and tested, verified product or process, right? Just like concerns raised in this statement about what they see as the construction of a pandemic industrial complex, right? Similar to a prison industrial complex, where generating an income becomes the central core of the project. So, because in this instance, the 2 eggs and 1 sperm, at the root of it, we could have scientists who are like, look, we're in this field and we're seeing so many babies born with these diseases that are debilitating, right? We want to figure out if we could create a world where children don't have to live through those things, which is a noble pursuit. But what are the consequences? Are there unintended consequences?
Yes.
What else happens when you start doing this, right? And so the same thing with the treaty. What Israel raised in its statements was that not enough time has been given for countries to delve through the vast amount of information and shifts that are being proposed.
One of my concerns was the taxes of utilizing taxpayers to fund the key surveillance aspects. And firstly, the concern is, if countries only have a short amount of time to sign out of this, then why don't we know if they have agreed to it or not, if money is also going to be used to fund it?
Right. And is it just a matter of our government not talking to us, right?
Right.
Like there's the WHO talking, but our government is not talking to us about the decisions that they're making on our behalf, and that will affect us. I I see you looking at the notes there, and I'm looking for that page because I want to read those two questions, and I feel I want to read from that segment you were reading from. I think I found it here. Here we go. Among numerous measures required, let's go here. However, Dr. Tedros added that the political declaration approved on Wednesday called for further strengthening of the global health emergency architecture to better protect the world from a repeat of COVID-19. Among numerous measures required, the political declaration recognized the need for member states to take measures to counter and address the negative impacts of health-related misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and stigmatization, especially on social media platforms, on people's physical and mental health, including countering vaccine hesitancy in the context of pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, and to foster trust in public health systems and authorities, including by increasing public health education, literacy, and awareness, while recognizing that the effective engagement of stakeholders requires access to timely, accurate, and evidence and awareness raising, including through the use of digital health tools, right? And then to counter and address the negative impacts of health-related misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and stigmatization, right? And just like you said, it's taxpayer dollars. Here's, for me, in this jurisdiction, you're telling me that you're going to use taxpayer dollars to create a system that will penalize people for sharing misinformation and disinformation, right? At the same time, you're not sharing any information. You're sharing like nothing. And the very little information that you do share is shared badly.
Right. Because the average person won't even understand what that means. They wouldn't understand what this amendment is, what this amendment includes. Even if there is talk of the amendment itself, there's no clarity on what it means. How would that affect our day-to-day?
Yeah.
How that will affect the health system? What that's going to look like in real life?
How will it affect our country and economy if a pandemic or if a health crisis emerges on another part of the globe? How will that affect us in the Bahamas? Who makes the decision of when to shut it down and stop doing business? And I'm bringing this information to the table today, not in an attempt to say whether the government should sign or not, but certainly to raise that there's been no public consultation on what is a national issue. And what does the state think its obligation and responsibility is? And what does it think its authority is? And does it understand the ways in which it is impeding or restricting the enjoyment of human rights, even within the scope with which they can restrict said rights for things like good governance, national security, public health, right? Like we get that. Even before a pandemic treaty, our Constitution gave state actors the authority, right, to not ignore rights, but to restrict rights temporarily, right? To restrict rights temporarily for the purpose of, right, a broader issue, public safety, national security, and then some of them get ambiguous like good governance, the public good, right? But is our government going to bring this question to the Bahamian people? Do we have a right, or does the state have an obligation to seek our authorization on this matter, considering A, it's our bodies, and B, y'all are not doing a good job at maintaining a public health system? Not at all.
Well, it's the 17th, and they have until the 19th to opt out. So I highly doubt it.
Yeah, man. No, I didn't come here thinking we could get them to jump. But at the same time, them not opting out doesn't prevent Bahamians from engaging the conversation and say, okay, you didn't opt out when you had the opportunity to do so easily. Well, let us show you how serious we are about this. Opt out. Now we got to use the long process, the long form, but opt out, right? So there's still opportunity for Bahamians to organize their voice and their advocacy and say to the government, for me, as an advocate, I would say at the very least, there should be public discourse. There should be a public collective size to determine what the people want, and not that one where y'all tried to convince or allowed people to believe that regulate and legalize mean the same thing, and then you turn around and tell us, don't tell the people they have a D average. You won't tell them that, and then take advantage of it.
Or where they implement the referendum and then you vote one way and then they still make their decisions on whatever they wanted to do in the first place.
But this is, hold on, but this is what I'm saying. It's more complex than that. They didn't quite do that. This is it. They didn't do whatever they wanted to do. They worded the question, and then proponents of various campaigns went out there and convinced the people that the word regulate actually means legalize. When it doesn't. It does not. It ain't never. If they meant legalize, the word would have started with an L and not an R.
Right.
Right? And so something happened, but it didn't happen on the back end. It happened on the front end.
That's fair.
Right? And it even leads me... Okay, let me finish this pandemic thing and then we're going to transition. Because I'm still trying to figure out exactly when... Right? Talk about that because we just talk. We can figure out when gambling became legal, because it wasn't when the referendum was assented, right? Like approved by the Governor General. It wasn't then.
No.
It couldn't have been then, because they didn't ask us if we wanted to legalize it. Because why would you ask me if I want to legalize if it's already legal? All right. So I can just finish off with this document about the pandemic treaty. Again, it's a Bahamian group with a petition. Bahamas, please don't sign the new pandemic treaty or amended international health regulations. I'm hoping they reach out so I could get a sense of the status of the petition, how many signatures they gathered, if they've had any engagement with state actors from the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Office of the Prime Minister. And there's just been no conversation at all, which is troubling considering how detrimental the closure of global travel was to the Bahamian economy and to the Bahamian psyche. All right. I got a text here that says, I think the answer is a gene affects one specific thing or narrow set of things. Editing a gene affects that thing and nothing else. So they're talking to the safety
Of the organs.
Yeah. See, I don't know. Texter. There's another story. It's a bit older. WEF, this World Economic Forum, bioethicist, is proposing that we edit genes in humans across the board to make them allergic to meat, so they would stop eating meat.
Why would they want to do that?
Okay, so there's the ethical question, or the question of ethics, and whether we should be eating animals. Right? We should be eating other sentient beings. Right? It's that question. And then, so that's one question there. And for me but isn't making humans allergic to meat equally unethical as eating meat? Anyway, all of these considerations on the cutting edge of science, medicine, and technology. We're going to a break. When we get back from the break, we are going to transition. Please, somebody tell me, was gambling ever illegal? Or was it just dropping the ball was illegal? I don't know how these lawyers go. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how they go, but somebody tell me they know how they go. We're going to a break. This is On the Clock with Erin Greene. Guest co-host today, Rodrigo Cawley. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Talking about watermelon and pumpkin, that's the island life kind of living.
Boy, why you look so mashed up because of the wash up?
No, boy, just a hard day.
Poppin', the breakfast lady ran out of tuna and gritty.
We need to start joking about everything, This serious, boy. This real serious, boy.
Boy, what's serious? Tell me.
All right, well, today, boss gave us, boy, one big contract. And nobody else get a chance and nobody say nothing.
Boy, you know that ain't right. You know government contracts ain't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, but nobody's saying nothing. Boss man just tell people to sign the papers. Then he send me the meters boy downtown and collect this envelope.
You need to tell somebody. You need to become a whistleblower.
You know I's a real man, but I never blow no whistle. I be drunk all my life and junk,
No way. A whistleblower is someone who tells people what they see when they see something wrong happening at work.
But I ain't no whistleblower, and I ain't no snitch. I still white there, you know.
But ain't nobody can know it's you. All you gotta do is call Crime Stoppers, or you could text them from inside the Crack Crime Bahamas app. They don't ask about you, and your call goes straight through to Miami, so nobody know you is. And if you text, your message get mixed up like Kong Salad.
Calls 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
At Cleveland Clinic, care is everything. So when your primary purpose is to care for the world, you'd start with your community until you're accessible anywhere. You make complexities your specialties, put anything else. All to redefine what's possible. For everyone, everywhere. For every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic.
Well, this me, Mr. C. I got do a little island ting, you know. Hey, girl, you there? Where you from? Oh, you from Brighton? Yeah, buddy. I didn't got some sweet, you know. Hear me? Island woman.
And welcome back to On the Clock, where you thought abortion was the most controversial sexual health and reproductive health rights conversation you were ever going to have. But we're living in a rapidly changing world, right? And there are more and more questions on the table for Bahamians. And talking about kind of like a rapidly changing world. In fact, before I go on, Ms. Cawley, you work for Bashra Bahamas Association.
Yes, Bahamas
for
Sexual Health and Rights Association.
Yeah.
So we are a nonprofit organization that advocates for the reproductive and sexual rights of men, women, as well as children throughout the Bahamas.
All right. Let's go to the caller quickly. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Who would thought you would there's come a time when you need someone to advocate for your reproductive sexual rights?
Well, listen, you know, I mean, it's been a while. In fact, a fascinating thing I love to share, I learned as a part of the Hannah Hasty Tynes Association that the mother of Ailey was a staunch reproductive health rights advocate. And she advocated in Acklands and wherever she went that husbands must allow women 2 years between pregnancies for her health and for the baby's health. Right, and she, in fact, I think she's so staunch that you got close to getting locked up until you catch sense.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
But I think we always advocated for sexual rights. It's just that now it's coming more into the front line. So now it's more visible. There were always people who were promoting these things, but it was people more so advocating like within their communities and on smaller scales. And now you have these larger organizations coming up, but that's because they are doing so much things without considering the needs of the individuals. And so now we have to advocate for people's rights.
You missed my question here.
Oh, sorry, what's the question?
What I'm trying to say is, imagine how far we could have fallen to the point where you have to now have organizations advocating for rights. When it should have been granted. This is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. We got you.
You got me now?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, all right.
Absolutely. And in this particular space, right, this is a place where we say, be fruitful and multiply. Women, your role is to make babies, to make a family, right? So like culturally, with the talk is talking it, but then there's an absence of structure, there's an absence of mechanisms, and there's an absence of organization in the space that's supposed to be supporting mothers, supporting families, supporting parents, supporting babies, right? And supporting a woman and a man's sexual health. And so we say that, though, we all into the making babies part, but we don't talk about how to stay safe. And that was evidenced in the Global Health Report, which even though the stats on the numbers of young people engaging in sex dropped, unfortunately, I think the number of young people engaging in sex without protection increased, right? Which they're saying it could be linked to this increase in STIs we're seeing in the country.
So I think there's just it's so difficult in smaller countries like the Bahamas to get accurate research on what's actually been happening, because I can't speak to my age because I'm relatively young, but from older generations, they still were doing what they wanted to do for fun. Like, that's still what we did. And like I was always bringing up, that the dynamic between Family Island life and Nassau life as well. So I know, like, on a Family Island, the numbers did not fluctuate. What's been happening has just been happening. But some people did not feel comfortable sharing, so they were not honest. And then you had some people where the instances of their activity were sensual, so they could not be honest. And so it's difficult to determine if the numbers are actually accurate or not. But I do think that a lot of the conversations now are stemming from women who we were giving this mandate to do all these things, but all these expectations had nothing to do with what we want or what was best for us. And so now when you talk about raising children, so now you have women who don't want children. Now you have women who have health complications on having children. Now you have all these different dynamics to consider of consent and taking care of the kids and providing for the family, women wanting to be professionals in the workspace, and that's their focus. And so you have all these different dynamics to consider that is prompting more of the conversation around reproductive rights, because you can't tell me that I can't or I shouldn't because I'm a woman, because I can do whatever I choose, technically.
With my body.
With my body.
Good morning, caller.
Your co-host.
Good morning.
And you said gambling. Gambling was always legal, discriminated, because people, Paradise Island, foreigners was gambling. Bohemians who are resident in the United States could come to casino and gamble. But at the same time, Bohemians locally could not participate. And the referendum that they did was unnecessary. It was hypocrite. Because you cannot say Bohemian can't gamble, and you have foreigners going over Paradise Island and gambling.
Okay,
That's
but
where discriminatory came in.
all right, but I know that Bahamians and people resident in the Bahamas are not allowed to go into casinos and gamble. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about dropping the ball. I'm talking about numbers and dropping the ball. And what I'm getting to is it that gambling in and of itself, we know it's not illegal, it's restricted, right? But that is it that there was a point in time where the law said Bahamians can't gamble at all, or did the law say that the act of dropping the ball is illegal? The act of putting the papers in the bag is illegal. So when the modes, right, when the technology changed, the law no longer applied, right? Because the law was the language of the law was no longer relevant. I know at some point dropping the ball was illegal. I mean, the way that they carry on about it is illegal, right? But the question is, was it that gambling was outlawed, or was it that dropping the ball and specific acts was outlawed? Because in this, let's put it on the table, in this conversation about not only should game shop operators or owners participate in governance, right? But the question of what place does a multimillionaire have in politics? And then the question that I have on the table is, should somebody who was engaged in an activity that was illegal and was known to be engaged in it, should that person be A, selected by a party to run, B, permitted to occupy a seat in the House of Assembly? But before we could get specifically to Sabas, right, I just trying to determine, was it ever illegal in the sense that we thought it was illegal? Or pedantry or pedantrics or being pedantic, right?
Like the way you use dantric. That's what it was. That's what it was, because when if you go back to the history of the referendum, 40% of the people say no, but they go on in Parliament, Yeah, I was going to legalize it.
We have to start here. They didn't ask you, and let me tell you all about cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Let me tell you all about cognitive dissonance. The paper said, do you want to regulate web shop gaming? You all voted on whether you want to regulate web shop gaming. But for the last almost 10 years, everybody and their ma out here talking about, we voted not to legalize web shop gaming. Do you all have cognitive dissonance? I remember what the paper said. The paper said regulate, not legalize.
And don't forget, a former prime minister, he used his legal professionalism to trick the people. I wrote about it. I told them, I told the folks, and I didn't participate in the voting because it's a waste of time. It's going to be legalized anyway. It has to be legalized because you cannot have parties island doing one thing and the Bahamian doing another day. I think that
they didn't listen, Pumpkin Eater. What is happening here? I cannot continue this conversation with you because you are experiencing cognitive dissonance right now. Nobody ever on a piece of paper called a ballot asked you if you.
I agree with you.
They asked if you want to regulate it, which suggests that it was already legal but unregulated, which is why I'm asking the question today, when did it become legal?
And that's what I wrote in my story just several years ago, but I had to go find my notes, send it to you. But that's the same question that was always happening in the past.
Okay.
And I'm glad you raised the issue again.
All right. Thank you.
Right. Again.
All right. Let's go to the next caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. You get anything with Sabah's answer back in the papers? You get anything to read for a soup line? I can't see the papers.
Boy, listen, I saw what may have been a letter to the editor.
And good morning to your guest, too. In Sabah's promise to sell shares or offer shares?
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
No?
No, I don't know. I tell you what I...
You ain't seen nothing in the papers, say?
No, no. Let me. I'm telling you now. I saw a letter to the editor from a private citizen, right? I guess either it's in defense of Sabas or in protest to what Pastor Bethel said, right?
Oh.
But here's what was interesting about that letter. The letter starts off as like she said she read it 3 times in 3 different minds, right? And what I surmise from it is that she's saying it's like an attack on Sabas. And like on a citizen, an individual, a citizen is an attack. And I just wanted to make the point that Mr. Sabas Bastian is a politically exposed person. Okay? Yeah. He's a politically exposed person and he's running for parliament. Does he expect less exposure when he enters the hall of parliament? Because you couldn't be entering politics for less exposure. Right? You couldn't be entering politics to use the instruments of this democracy for less. Expectation is there's going to be more exposure, right? What I've noticed is that nobody in the public discourse has used the word illegal. And what I would like to know is why is it so difficult for somebody to come up and say, this is when this activity was legalized, this is when it was regulated, right? And nobody going to say that. Because then we can't have a question of whether people who have been engaged in criminal acts criminally should be able to occupy a seat in the House of Assembly. See, nobody want to speak plainly, have a clear, transparent, coherent conversation. And take us back to the referendum. We want somebody to be pellucidly clear, please.
So you don't answer your question when you ask when they get their license, when they was permitted, if it started a certain time?
I don't...
Because I was wondering the part where they was making the money illegal. No, I didn't remember them. They normally do that to the drug dealers and persons who making money financially illegally. So when they get their permission, did you decide when or?
No, I don't know. I still waiting for the answer. However, I tell you what. In today's paper, dad faces charges after his 2 children allegedly found starving. That's a story.
You find it?
Yeah, it's in today's Tribune.
You just see it?
Yeah, it's in today's Tribune. But listen, let me go to the callers and.
Yeah, I can let you go. Listen, that's an indictment on us, you know.
Of course it
we
is.
got to do better as a community and family. They get family, you know.
Without a doubt.
People right around them knows. In spite of the situation, either people saying you're bad ways or whatever, we don't show love. We ain't show enough love in this country.
Children-
around the world.
children
that's
don't
an indictment on us. Them children are meeting. It could happen to anybody, and maybe it'll always be happening. But we got to do better, man.
I can read from it after I take these callers, Papa. Thank you. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller.
Miss Greene.
How you do?
Good morning to your wonderful guest. I was very intrigued when I heard you talking about the international health regulations.
Mm-hmm.
I brought it up years ago with Dr. Archer. And so I'm glad, I'm very sad that she's not on the radio because I had asked her to do a show on this about 3 years ago, right? And so I'm always aware. And so it's amazing to see people willing to call and discuss the trivial matters when we are concerned with our freedoms being taken away under the international health regulations via the WHO, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, science-y, the police, you talk about bioethics. A couple of weeks ago, there was a doctor on the radio, and I would like to thank her when I had mentioned the use of gene editing for the islet cells for the pancreas to get rid of diabetes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she said, no, not enough research is being done. But the thing to the caller who, see, with molecular biology, especially when it comes to genetics, it's so intricate. I don't suggest people call and just make statements. The person tried to put blind trust in science as it related to gene editing. When the person asks a question, your guess seems to be very intelligent because she asks the question, what role does it play in altering other genetic dysfunctions, malfunctions, changes in the body? So the person tried to send you a text to say that it's safe, but it's not because when you can go and look at it on Google for yourself. There are something called unintended targets as a result of gene editing. So it's not like people say it's not black and white. And as it relates to the international health regulations, Dr. Radikochi wrote a letter over a decade ago about the overreaching influence of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in the WHO as far as monetary donations, et cetera, China. This is why you see Trump have this attitude towards the NIH and all these other places, these other entities, so the Health and Human Services, et cetera. And I've explained about them not giving reports to Congress in 30 years, et cetera. But most of us don't really want to hear this. And so, as it relates to mitochondrial,
but look at 52.
Yes, right, Erin.
I know.
Mitochondrial
I got to go
found
for
in the cytoplasm. It's the powerhouse. It produces something that's called ATP, triphosphate energy, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that it's different from the nucleus. So even as you look now, and a caller called Howard yesterday and talked about the lack of follow-up on these are experimental vaccines. But you could bring Dr. Bethel on. Dr. Jacinta Heath from the States or Dr. Dolores Cahill, you could bring them up to some wire.
Listen, if you know any 52, I know 52. I gotta go. If you know anybody from the Optimus, I have this conversation with them for like 4 years now. Let's go to the phone line quickly, and then I gotta get to the text. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Madam Greene.
Morning, sir.
And good morning to you guys.
Morning.
Now you know I got a time switch for you, right, Miss Greene? Hey, Greene.
Repeat that.
You know, I have a timer and switch for you.
That's why I didn't hear what you said. No, man, don't be like that. Don't be like that. But come on, I got about 2 more callers on the line.
Yeah, listen to me. You asked a very, very, very pertinent question. Was gambling ever legal or illegal in the Bahamas?
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to the Constitution of the Bahamas, it was not illegal. It just was not regulated. And the reason why I say that is because it was a policy decision made because the British told them, how in the hell you could have foreigners gambling in your people? We cannot do that.
Man,
so
listen,
them to,
it have to be illegal because Corinne Mitchell wouldn't let Uncle Andel drop the ball on her dining room. They let him.
Listen to me.
Yes,
and
yes,
the
sir.
Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and if the Constitution allows for a foreigner to gamble in the Bahamas, then when challenged, a Bahamian will win that case.
Look here, Uncle.
Technically.
Uncle, okay. Man, I only got 3 minutes left. Why would you say something so exciting? All right, here's what it is. Like technically, like you say, technically, right, you get these rights. But there's also this thing in the Constitution that allows government to restrict your rights for the purpose of A, good governance, B, public safety, C, public health, B, the public good, good governance. Some of them are very arbitrary. Some of them are ambiguous, right? And some of them are kind of arbitrary. But the point is that not only can the government restrict your rights in certain measures, constitutionally guaranteed rights, but also when a law is passed, it's deemed to be good law. It's deemed to be in alignment until it is shown to not be in line with the Constitution, right? So, what if... thank you, Uncle. Caller, you there?
I have a quick question for you, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the big? I don't see the big deal on people making noise about Sebastian running. Bear in mind, I'm not a family member. I don't know the man from Man the Moon, right? But why are they penalizing him for being rich? So you trying to tell me they saying, oh, he really rich, he have money, what are you running for? If you're poor, they can say, you come there to thief the money. So now you're penalizing the man for being rich? Make it make sense.
You think that's why they're penalizing him for being rich?
That's what they said. Oh,
or is it for how he got rich?
Oh, what are you running for? And he really have money. Then if you're poor, oh, the person poor. They come in to thief the money. So I don't get it. So isn't he a Bahamian citizen?
Yes, he's a Bahamian citizen.
Oh, okay, so why shouldn't he be able to run if he's a Bahamian citizen?
Because let me tell you why. No, I can tell you what. The take the responsibility from him. The party that decides to run him is the party that has to explain why they decided to run him. See, that's it right there. Thank you for that. The party that runs him has the obligation to explain to the people why it is that the behavior that he engaged in today is fine. But yesterday, it wasn't. That's it, right? You all stay setting precedents. To be honest with you, set the precedent. So a lowly, wayward, reprobate homosexual like myself could also be redeemed and find glory in the face of the Lord. Right? Y'all set the precedent. But then remember, if you do this, right, then you really have to entertain the Rastafarians about their part in the industry, right? Set the precedent. Leave that man alone. Let the party who's going to run him tell you why your children could go to jail for certain behavior and some other people's children ain't. That's all. Again, I just want to know if gambling was ever illegal, because Corinne Mitchell ain't never kick up a fuss, but I hear what she tell Landel about dropping that ball on her table. Anyway, y'all don't mind me. Joining me today was Rodrigo Corley. She was making sense. Me? I was just talking foolishness. Y'all stay tuned. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri is up next. Tomorrow we can talk about all these traffic fatalities and what happened to the face of that dump truck. Why it looked like Megalodon, the mega shark, tried to eat the dump truck. What are y'all doing on the Bahamian roads? We can talk about that tomorrow, and hopefully I have a representative from the Special Olympics Committee coming in to talk about some of the ladies. Guys, again, stay tuned. C.A. Nuri is back. He's going to be in studio in a moment. Stay tuned.
I'm coming back here for more. Oh, Island woman. Cat Island.
Fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Print Masters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Nassau Cruise Port, Kalik and Ricardo Rum presents the Made in the Bahamas Festival. Join us on Saturday, July the 19th from 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. for a cultural affair hosted by Kenny and the Mighty Pencil, Fan Sean, Ancient Man, and more. Plus music by the best DJs. Enjoy entertainment by the Royal Bahamas Police Force Band, a Junkanoo Rush Out, giveaways, and tasty Bahamian food. Admission is only $10, so don't miss out. Drink responsibly and celebrate proudly.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app.